Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another episode of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're doing well and keeping safe on this Thursday. Hope you're enjoying your international break so far. It still doesn't make sense to me why we're having an international break, especially international friendlies at the current time whilst, certain countries are in lockdown, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And of course, there always is that concern with any international break. We're going to get injuries to some of our key players. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen before the Newcastle game in a fortnight time. But let's get into today's video. Before we do, got some interesting topics to talk about. Kurt Zouma, Tammy Abraham, Ben Chilwell, the players going to be focusing on in today's episode. But before we do, want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also hit the like button if you're enjoying the content, because it helps out the channel as well. As I'm sure you saw, I've posted a lot of videos from my discussion with Nini FC that you can go and check out. We spoke about a lot of things. The full podcast is available, link in the description box below. But if you want to see clips from that discussion that I've uploaded recently about Hakim Ziyech, Ben Chilwell, Reece James, Thiago Silva, Edouard Mendy, all that good stuff, if you haven't seen it, please go and check it out. And also my rational perspective on Saturday's victory over Sheffield United is on the channel as well if you haven't seen that. But let's start off with Kurt Zouma, because Fabrizio Romano yesterday on his podcast was talking about Chelsea negotiating a new contract extension for Kurt Zouma. Romano said the player is very happy at the club. Frank Lampard is happy with him and sees his new leader as the future of the club. This is brilliant news. It's not that surprising, to be honest. He's been brilliant so far this season. He really has. And I think it's all down mainly, to finding the perfect partner for him in Thiago Silva. I think it's been wonderful to see those two form a chemistry. I think there was some hope over the summer that would be the strongest partnership. It's turned out to be that way. Firstly, I think the fact that, they both can speak French, but also I think, we looked at Kurt Zouma last season a lot of the time and felt he was the strongest of the current centre-backs we had, and feeling like we had a lot of secondary centre-backs and trying to find a leader next to them. And it seems like Thiago Silva is the perfect answer with that. But I just think more generally, when I think about Kurt Zouma, I think about his story, at Chelsea. I think people forget it and, talk about sort of the recent, seasons, him returning, his form, how good he is, or what does he offer to Chelsea's defence. Actually looking at his career, thinking about that horrible injury he had in, February 2016. He was a main player next to JT, but got that injury, and it felt like at the time he had such a bright future at Chelsea. I think so many fans were sort of encouraged by his performances, his tackling ability, learning off of JT. But unfortunately, that terrible injury, being at that game that day, it was horrible to witness, horrible to see the replays of it, and it took him out of the 16-17 season. And of course, we won the league title under Antonio Conte, and it's the type of club, I think Chelsea is one of those clubs, and you probably see this a lot of the time around football, especially at top clubs, how quickly things change. If a player is injured for a long period of time, or they go out on loan, so much can change at Chelsea in terms of the head coach, in terms of the style of football we're playing, and sometimes that can really derail a promising career. But I think you've got to give credit to Zouma, the fact he went on loan to Stoke and Everton, and I think a lot of people, including myself, felt that was it for Zouma. He wouldn't return to Chelsea. Those days of him being a big centre-back at Chelsea and having a bright future at Stamford Bridge appear to be over. But returning under Lampard, it seemed to give him a new lease of life. And, I think now alongside Thiago Silva, he's found that he can be a big centre-back at Chelsea. And I think post Silva, I had a question about this the other day. You're looking at who's going to be sort of the big centre-back pairing Chelsea have, looking for that leader. Could Kurt Zouma turn into that leader? We definitely hope so, but I think this contract is brilliant. It's not that much of a surprise to me, considering how key he is for Frank Lampard alongside Silva in that back four at the moment. And you almost forget that at the back end of last season, there are rumours linking him away from Chelsea to the likes of PSG or Everton. So it seems like that'll be the end of it now, and he will be a Chelsea player for the long term. Please let me know your opinions on Kurt Zouma, his return to Chelsea, his current form. Let me know in the comments below. Next is another player who's currently flourishing at Chelsea, and that is Tammy Abraham. To the surprise of some people, I think, due to our expectations in the summer with the new players coming in, especially attacking players, and thinking about if Tammy Abraham would get a chance under Frank Lampard this season, and will be more of a rotational sort of bench player. But at the moment, he is so essential to what we're doing. And this article in The Guardian from Who Scored is really demonstrating that in terms of the numbers. how well he is doing and how his game has improved with the likes of Timo Werner and Hakim Ziyech now in the team alongside Kai Havertz as well. Tammy Abraham is thriving among the new recruits at Chelsea. Abraham has been the team's focal point recently and has been excellent, scoring against Sheffield United and Rennes and setting up goals against Burnley and Krasnodar. Abraham is increasingly adept at bringing others into play. Perhaps he has stepped up his performances due to the increased competition from Werner, or maybe he has learned from the more experienced Olivier Giroud. Abraham is retaining possession better than ever. His pass accuracy of 75.6% this season is comfortably the best of his career so far. There is a perception that Abraham is just a poacher, which may have been a fairer description in the past. In 536 minutes of action so far this season, the 23-year-old has scored 4 goals and set up 5 more, which equates to a goal or assist every 67 minutes. I think Tammy's proving people wrong at the moment, which is great to see. I think he's proving his usefulness to Chelsea, and I think to Lampard, it's not just about being a poacher, as the article very much details. It's about linking up with fellow attackers, and that's the thing that other Chelsea strikers who've tried to break into the team like Michy Batshuayi have struggled with, because you need that part to your game to really excel. And I did think in the summer there was so much talk about Timo Werner, where he was going to play at Chelsea, whether he was going to be the main striker in a 4-3-3 or he could play to the left potentially, but then that sort of conflicting with Christian Pulisic really dominating that area last season for Chelsea. And at the moment, I think it's helping Timo Werner. I don't think Timo's game is, being derailed in any sense. I think, Timo's still scoring goals for Chelsea. I think what the article really demonstrates is the fact that he's dropping a little bit deeper, linking up play well with the likes of Hakim Ziyech, with Timo Werner, whether it's, the number 10, whether it's Kai Havertz or Mason Mount in the 4-3-3. I think Tammy is showing what he can give to this Chelsea team. And I think scoring goals, of course, is absolutely essential for a striker. But for a team that has so many good attackers and so many ways to attack, I think that Tammy is allowing other players to flourish. And I think that's what's going to keep him in the team at the moment. I think if you expect Tammy to just drop out the side post the international break, if Christian Pulisic is ready, I don't expect that to happen. I'd be stunned based on Tammy's recent performances. And I think having both sides of his game where he can put the ball in the back of the net very clinically like he showed last season, but also being able to set up goals for other players, create space for other players, I think it's really encouraging. And I hope people give Tammy the respect he deserves. I think when you compare Tammy's numbers last year to Diego Costa's first season at Chelsea, I think that's the best sort of compliment you can pay to Tammy Abraham and the amount of quality he's bringing to Chelsea. He's still got a bright future at Chelsea, and already proving with his mentality this year, he can break back into the first team and get lots of minutes under Frank Lampard. And lastly, I want to talk about Ben Chilwell and what he's bringing to Chelsea at the moment. And I really want to praise this article from Liam Toomey that I definitely suggest you go and read, all about Ben Chilwell. Marauding Chilwell is exactly what Lampard and Chelsea needed. It goes into Ben Chilwell's attacking contribution this year, what he's bringing to Chelsea, why he was such a key signing this summer. Definitely just go and read the article, because it really goes in depth in terms of the numbers of Ben Chilwell so far this season, the dynamic he's bringing to Chelsea's attack. But, I've said this a lot, and if you've been watching the channel for a number of months, and I'm talking back to last season, I felt that left back was, for me, the key area Chelsea needed to strengthen, just based on what I'd seen. And I think that Chilwell, other names as well, what was it, Telles, Tagliafico, there's probably many other names, Reguilon, all the left backs we were linked to, it was always Ben Chilwell. And I think Frank Lampard is being very much vindicated so far this season in terms of saying, no, Ben Chilwell is my first choice target. There was a lot of sort of doubt over Ben Chilwell based on, his drop in form at Leicester last season, especially Leicester struggling at the back end of last year. There were people arguing that there were better options on our market for better value, but I disagree. I think that at the moment what you're seeing from Ben Chilwell is an incredible fullback who really has transformed our attacking play on that side, and just everything about the left side of Chelsea's defence. It's not only his attacking contribution, which we're seeing at the moment from that goal against Sheffield United, another late run into the box, another brilliant Hakim Ziyech cross, which, as Ben Chilwell said himself post-game, is what he's being asked to do regularly. He's being asked to really push up the pitch, get into those positions so Ziyech can find him. It's not only the attacking dynamic that he's bringing, but also defensively, I've been so impressed. I mean, I think it shows you the defensive improvement we've had at the back there under Lampard this season. But Chilwell has excelled in that area for me too, in terms of his positional awareness, in terms of his mobility, which we knew he'd bring. But there was that concern that with such an attacking fullback, he wouldn't be able to get back or be as sort of aware defensively. But I think he's been as impressive there. And he seems to be a very popular figure already in the dressing room. He seems to be someone that is bringing a lot of energy, not only on the pitch but off the pitch, to Chelsea's dressing room and squad, so that's great to see as well. He's fit in so well. He looks like a player who's been at Chelsea for a number of years, and I think that shows you, I think a lot of the strong arguments behind signing Ben Chilwell was was not only him being English, but being very much accustomed to the Premier League. He knows what the Premier League is like, so it's not bringing in a player from a foreign league. We've seen some of our new signings like Kai Havertz having to adapt to the league a little bit more. You don't have to have that with Ben Chilwell. He very much fit in instantly and he's excelling. I think there was a lot of Leicester fans who were happy to see him go, but I'm not sure if they'll be feeling the same right now. I know they're having a good start to the season, but Ben Chilwell looks incredible. He looks like one of the strongest fullbacks in the current Premier League, and it's great to see Frank Lampard being vindicated on his first choice target. And at the moment, our fullback play looks so good, and Ben Chilwell is a big part of that. So let me know your opinions on Ben Chilwell. But finally, after so long seeing that position not strengthened, finally revamping it and bringing in the perfect name in Ben Chilwell. Let me know your opinions on him in the comments below. But that is it for this episode of Let's Talk Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch it. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonofChelsea. Have a great day, and I'll see you again